If you're outfitting your kitchen or looking for gift ideas, a matching set of knives with a storage block could seem like a nice convenience. Maybe it could even be a bargain.
Or maybe it could be a ripoff. While they seem like a kitchen essential, most knife sets don't deliver on their promise.
Today, we're going to give you the lowdown on knife sets, what we found in our testing, and how to put together the best, cheapest knife set possible.
First up, Lisa with our review of knife sets. Then I'll tell you what we really think you should do.
Typically, knife blocks consist of 6 to 15 pieces of matching cutlery, sometimes including a honing rod or some kitchen shears, with a block for easy storage. Now, you might assume that by buying a set, someone wiser has picked out the knives you need. That's not always the case. We bought 8 knife sets, priced from about $97 to over $700. Now, to be honest, we didn't love them, and here's why. I did this testing, and I rated the knife blocks on how comfortable the pieces were to use and how well each blade performed. I also looked at how many pieces in the collection were essential and how many weren't, and of those extras, how many were actually useful. The only way to find out was to put each piece of knifeware through all the paces. First, we singled out the core blades from each set, the chef's knife, the bread knife, and the paring knife. And we put each of them through the testing protocols that we used to test that category of knife. Most of the chef's knives in the sets we tested were at our preferred length of 8 inches, and most of those chef knives performed pretty well. The paring knives we tested were less than impressive. Many of them were too wide, too long, or just ungainly. They actually made it hard to pare an apple. We only really liked 2 of them, and they actually turned out to be by the brands that made our ATK recommended favorite paring knife. All of the serrated bread knives were too short. They were 8 or 9 inches. We prefer at least 10 inches for a blade on a bread knife. I interviewed several knife company executives, and they said they had to be shorter in order to fit in the knife block. And a few admitted that shorter knives were just cheaper to make. Less metal, cost less money. So these knives are stumpy. The knife companies also told me that knife block sets are not compiled strictly according to their usefulness to consumers, but to meet price ceilings set by retailers. The retailers want the maximum number of pieces in a block at a really low price. And by the way, that block always counts as one of the pieces. So basically, to meet the retailer's needs, you're gonna end up with a bunch of lower quality, little tiny knives in a block. So once we tested those core knives, then we looked at the other half of the equation. We sorted through all the extra pieces. Now, the most common of these was a utility knife, bigger than a paring knife and smaller than a chef's knife. In each set, I ran these specialty knives through the same tests as their corresponding chef's knives. And shocker, the chef's knife was better every time. So since I did the knife block testing, we have separately tested utility or petty knives, and some of those are pretty good. But in the sets, trust me, these are not the knives you're looking for. So in the end, we actually found very few knives in these knife sets that weren't rendered totally redundant by the core 3. Your chef's knife, your serrated knife, and your paring knife. A few sets had the odd boning knife that made removing bones easy, and one had a good pair of shears. But generally, these knife sets were a bust. They weren't worth the money. And a word about storing knives in a block like this. Now, given that all the handles match in a set, you can spend a lot of time pulling out every single one of these trying to find the one that you want. And how many of us don't even use most of the blades that are in the block? Honestly, it's overkill. I just have to say, this is not one of the sets we tested. This is a generic knife set that is standing in for all knife sets. But you know, everything I said about those other knife sets is true of this one. In the end, our testing confirmed our suspicion that you're much better off shopping for knives a la carte. That way you only get what you really need. Now, Hannah's going to show you how to build your own inexpensive knife set and how to store those knives without a block.
As Lisa said, we don't like knife sets. We prefer to build our knife collections intentionally by combining the best knife in each category into an a la carte set. We started by choosing 3 essential knives: a chef's knife, a paring knife, and a serrated bread knife. This trio can accomplish almost anything in the kitchen. The chef's knife is a jack of all trades. We design our testing to hit all of the ways that someone is going to use a chef's knife. That means we break down a chicken, we chop parsley, we want it to be nice and fluffy and not bruised. We dice onions, we also break down butternut squash, and we go right down through the stem, which is a really tough test on the edge of the knife. We push them really hard in testing so we can be sure they're gonna perform. With a paring knife, we design our testing around the ways people use these in real life. Hulling a strawberry, peeling an apple, coring a tomato, peeling a tomato, precision detail tasks. We also use them down on the board, so slicing cheese, things like that. Next up, a serrated bread knife. Now, these obviously are good at cutting bread. That's what the teeth are for, to bite down into things. So there's a whole group of things that bread knives excel at, rugged and tough, but also on the other end of the spectrum, delicate and soft things. For example, the skin of a tomato. We also love to slice Millionaire shortbread, and it's good at breaking through all those layers with beautiful, even slices. Also, chopping chocolate. Chocolate is kind of hard, and the teeth bite in and crunches through really nicely. We happen to have excellent value picks in each of these categories, meaning you can put together a great functional set of knives for around $60, a fraction of what most sets cost. This is our ATK recommended Best Buy chef's knife from Mercer. There are all different categories of awesome chef's knives, but they tend to be more expensive. So today we're focusing on the best, cheapest. The Mercer is a Western-style chef's knife with a gently curved, triangular blade. It won against a bevy of challengers for its sharp, well-designed blade and comfortable non-slip handle, and beat knives that were 8 times more expensive in our testing. Next up, our ATK recommended Best Buy paring knife by Victorinox. We have tested dozens of paring knives over the years. This little knife has been a long-time winner and usually costs between $7 and $10. We love its sharp, flexible blade, which is about 4 inches, shorter than a lot of paring knives. That gives you a little more control. It makes it nice and agile and precise. Because paring knives are often used up off the cutting board, you want a knife to be light. And we love that about the Victorinox. It also has a nice slim handle. This allows it to become an extension of your hand. Finally, we have our ATK recommended serrated bread knife by Mercer. When we went looking for a good serrated knife, we tested everything on the market and found that the fewer serrations were better. You also wanted the serrations to be very deep and wide for a more powerful bite. We also preferred those with grippy, comfortable handles. The Mercer nailed it on all of these points, beating out super fancy knives. It's been our winner for more than a decade now and usually costs around $20. Beyond these 3 knives, everything else is gravy. You could consider a cleaver, a kiri, a boning knife, a slicing knife. I am a professional equipment tester. I have a lot of knives, but 99% of the time, I'm reaching for one of these 3 knives. Now, what about knife storage? Because that's the nice part about a knife block. It's also tidily contained. We've tested dedicated knife blocks that you can put any knife in, and while we like some of them, they tend to be more expensive. 360, our winner, it rotates, it's beautiful, it's hundreds of dollars. Our Best Buy is from Schmidt Brothers. It's a little more minimalistic, hovers around $70. We also like magnetic knife strips. You have to install something, but they're a very easy, clean way to store your knives. Our winner is from Brooklyn Butcher. If you don't want to spend anything at all for knife storage, there are a lot of smart solutions. Here are some of our favorite tips that we learned in testing. 2 things to think about when storing knives: how easily you can access them without cutting yourself, and how to prevent the blades from clanking together or rubbing around, which can dull them. First, you can make a cardboard knife cover for free and store them in a drawer. Lisa's had the same cardboard knife cover for over 20 years. I put my knives uncovered on a sheet pan. You can also wrap the blade in a dish towel. You can throw an elastic around there to secure it if you want to. And thirdly, not related to storage, but do not put your knives in the dishwasher. They will actually dull faster. In our opinion, knife block sets aren't worth it. With our tried and tested Best Buy options and these storage tips, you're well on your way to the best, cheapest knife set you've ever had.
For more information on knife sets, building your own knife set, and more reviews, check out the links below or go to americastestkitchen.com.
If you were building your own knife set, which knives would you include? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.